right.
Oh boy.
And with that, folks, welcome to episode 3 of the High Mark podcast with Damian and D.O. Kat still on her mini vacay. So we have recruited someone who was live in attendance at AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. You may have
Live and
heard
direct, if you will.
live and direct, if you will. You see, baby, when we do Dusty Rhodes. No. Melissa Foss, who is one of the voices of Sabotage Wrestling. I can say this affectionately. She's also been featured on Battle Club Pro at their last event. Was one of the announcers during their play-by-play announcers of their last event, the main event, I should say. And you are a contributor to Wrestling Revolver and Wrestle Circus. Yes, so she has her finger and toes and nose all up in independent wrestling all the time. Yeah, I know. I caught that. Yeah, she didn't get the reference, but that's okay. So we thought since AEW's Double or Nothing happened this weekend that Dio and I would benefit from having someone whose voice is we respect and who can be objective while still being a fan and walking the line without being a supermark as to whether or not that so much the show was a success, but the where do they go from here and how do they stay the course without giving in to what the sycophants seem to want. I think that's one thing Dio and I, when we were doing last Mark. Wow, sorry, Dio. That was a blast from the past.
Yes.
You know, when we were it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
We were doing podcast champs, and then we talked about AEW just being a t-shirt company. And then, as you said before we came on air, you wanted to see proof of concept. And by all accounts, everyone who was in attendance, whose opinion I trust and value, told me it was a well done show with a couple of hiccups from top to bottom.
Right.
So I guess without further ado, Dio, we'll open up the floor here and bring Mel in. Did you watch the show?
I did watch the show.
And what were your first reactions? Give me your top 5 things that stood out during the show.
Top 5 good or top 5 bad?
Let's do both.
Let's do both. Okay. Top 5 good. The presentation was actually really well. Like, it was. What was the last pay-per-view that they had? Last event called?
All In.
All In. There you go. Yeah. Like, it was definitely a massive step up from All In. Right. Just like the crowd attendance, all that good stuff. So seeing people come back, like it didn't feel, on one end, it did feel like it was pandering to like WWE fans. And on the other, it was like, okay, we're actually trying new stuff. Like the fact that they had so many Joshi wrestlers coming in, and like that was super dope because so many people don't know about legends like Aja Kong, and like it's just yeah. Then we actually got to see Awesome Kong as well, which was like I'm always happy about that. Like we get to see her, whether it be in a wrestling ring or on Netflix, because she is actually a really good actress as well. Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed, I have to say.
So far, presentation.
Because this one's a bit like it's a double-edged sword type of deal. Because like the booking was good, but then at the same time, like how booking kind of fell apart right before the event was supposed to happen with like, Pac not showing up. I guess I'll call him that now because he's not going back to Neville. But like there's that, it looked hopeful, right? The fact that you had like, they actually showcased people like Sonny Kiss and stuff like that. I was like, okay, this isn't what I was fearing that it could be, but I still have that fear when it comes to like down the line because their fan base is so toxic. I fear that they might kind of be like, you know what, maybe we should pander to them a little bit more. And that's what my fear is, like, because that's with Nyla Rose, with Sonny Kiss, with if they end up bringing any other like queer talent on, like it's.
So you were worried that they were going to pander for the representation aspect.
I was worried that they would either, because initially when they first did the press conference, it was like, look, we've got a gay, we've got a trans woman. It was like, right, this is feeling kind of exploitive at the beginning, but as I saw that they actually treated them with respect on this, like they didn't treat Nyla Rose like a sideshow, and by having Awesome Kong there as well, basically it was like, oh yeah, they didn't try to like make it like she's different. You know, it was like she's just a woman. She is on this roster. That's it. Yeah. And I love that because that was seeing how the fan base reacted to Sonny Kiss and Nyla Rose. I was just like, oh no, this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad. It's gonna be very bad. But it didn't. So it was dope. What else was there? I didn't like some of the music, interest music that folks had. Like, maybe I'm just kind of used to CFO $, or however the fuck you say it.
Foss or whatever his name
is. CFO money. But yeah, like maybe that's stuff that they can work on, of course. And you know, if you have people that were on the indies, you can't use. Like, especially now that you're going to be on TV, you can't use the licensed music that they were using prior because you will, like, yeah, you're backed by a billionaire, but they're not going to be giving you that type of money. Not for some songs. So, one thing that I did not like was like that they took so many shots at the WWE. That was where I was like, all right, you need to distance yourselves from the WWE. You don't want to constantly be. You don't want their people to constantly say, all right, there's a comparison. Oh, they're just trying to be the WWE, or they're just trying to do X, Y, and Z. It was like, just be yourselves.
So I'm not sure what was like shown on TV, but I know obviously like the throne deal was a pretty clear shot. What else was there that you guys saw that was kind of a shot at WWE?
So like there was the throne deal, like they had a bunch of like stuff that you really had to like look for like the FTR written on like coffee cups and stuff like that. And then like, so is that Kylie Ray? Yeah. So like when she came out, it was like it felt very okay. This is Bayley. Like when you have like people that are like the characters that are so like Damian and I have talked about so many times with video games, how like you'll have one video game company that will come out with something and then another video game company will come out with something and it will be the exact same concept for a character. That's what this felt like. And I was like, all right, I doubt this is a shot at WWE, but it feels so close, especially since Cody took a shot at Bayley like a few days ago. And I was like, all right, is this a coincidence or like y'all just being assholes? But yeah, like that was one of those things. Like when she showed up, I was like, this is.
But to be fair, that has been her gimmick this whole time.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand
with the Pokemon and everything. So
right. It's just like how it just was so reminiscent of it already. It's like, okay, if you just tweak a couple things and you'll be different, right? It's like, which video game characters do we want to use? Like, so with Capcom, you've got Ryu and Ken. Yeah. With SNK, you have, I guess it would be Kyo and Iori or Terry Bogard. Like
you could use even Rio and Robert Garcia.
Like you just have to tweak the characters just enough that it's not like, okay, this is the exact, archetype that this person is. And it was like, all right. And I've seen her wrestle before, like on shows and stuff like that. And like, she's very talented, but this was like, if you go into this as a strictly WWE watcher, automatically that's what you're going to go to. Okay. Like that's going to be like, you're going to be like, oh, this just feels like a Bayley ripoff, even though that's been her gimmick for a long time. And she actually does it better than Bayley does. But yeah, that was just one of the other things. And like, they're just going to have to make sure that they don't fall into the same trap trappings that WWE has for characters, so that it doesn't feel like they are just doing knockoff storylines and or characters for it. So yeah.
Anything else stand out that you loved versus what you didn't?
Oh yeah, I loved Moxley. That was awesome. Like it was like I was one of the people that was like, he's not gonna show up. The fuck, he just wants to go do death matches and rest. But no, like the way that it happened was dope. It felt, and the thing, it's hard to say because with how the fan base is and the buildup has been, I don't know whether it's an organic thing or whether it is just caught up in the moment. Because in the moment, like that felt like a Steve Austin type entrance in the moment watching it. And it felt like old school, grandiose. It was really dope. But like, can that keep up? Can they keep that up as time goes on? And since he's going to be in New Japan as well, and he's going to be another knife pervert, so it's going to be great.
He's going to be an American Jay White.
Oh, yeah. 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 It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
So let's kind of bring Mel into the conversation here. For someone who was there live, same question. 5 things you liked, 5 things you didn't like. It doesn't have to be either or.
I think there were a couple small glitches. I don't think you mentioned it earlier, but there was one where the ref called like it was a 2 and then someone rang the bell.
Yeah.
So things like that. Maybe a couple like audiovisual things were kind of seemingly off a bit. What I did like was the entrance with the tunnels, and all of that. Like the visual of it looked really cool live. The audience was electric. Like they were ready to like tear the roof off from the beginning.
Right.
Which I mean, you know, it's like you felt like you were part of something huge happening.
Right.
So that was really amazing. I think that the lineup was pretty good. You know, the 3-on-3 women's match was, I think it was at a good place, but I wonder if it would have been better if it was at a different spot on the card. Because it kind of felt like, okay, this is like the restroom break.
Right.
Even though it was a really great match.
Right.
I mean, Aja Kong is like legend. I mean, like for me, her and Mako were like top notch. But you know, I kind of wonder if it would have gotten a better reception somewhere else on the card. Yeah, I think I see what you mean with Kylie. I kind of wonder what those tweaks would be to kind of shift it from being so comparable to Bailey.
Right.
But overall, I mean, you know, the tag match was amazing, and I kind of wonder if that would have been better suited as the main, because it seemed like after that the energy was kind of weird for the main.
Right.
The mat, I don't know if it was chemistry or something seemed off. They mentioned Kenny had a broken nose the whole time, so maybe that was it. Just the main didn't click for me too much. It made sense it was a singles match because Moxley showing up, you know, it needed to be a singles match so he could show up and there could be a challenge and everyone could lose their minds. I did too. But yeah, those were some of my highlights. I had a great time. I had a blast. You know, kind of, I don't want to be like being in the biz because that sounds real weird and like douchey. But like having to have worked with a lot of these people at some point, and then seeing them on that platform was a reminder of what it is. Like AEW is just another huge platform for these wrestlers to have. And, you know, people will talk about the comparison and, oh my gosh, WWE is going down or AEW, blah, you know, but it's another huge platform for really amazing talent to show what they have. Like, despite race, gender, sexuality, any of that, just really good wrestlers to have a platform, which is really beautiful. I cried like 5 times. I cried 4 times probably during the Cody and Dustin match.
Right.
I mean, that for me, I think has become my favorite match of all time. I mean, the story building up to it was really well done. You know, they didn't pull in Dusty too much, which was good. They referenced it should have happened before. They referenced that, you know, this was a long time coming. And I think they just hit it out of the ballpark. I mean, it was goosebumps, tears, more goosebumps, more tears.
Right.
The story they told was beautifully done. So yeah, I had a great time. It was great.
Yeah. So I had to look at the card real quick just to see my standouts because it was a lot of people on the card. Yeah. And that's the thing. It wasn't a super long card. That's the best part about it. It was not a long card, but they fit so much in. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like, because like WrestleMania probably had about the same amount of matches, but that was like 27 hours. And I hated it. Right. But so standout matches, of course, the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, which is that was just like, they were just trying to like, they were just building off of each other. Like, and it just kept getting to like a fever. And that was awesome. I didn't really like the main event. Just because I don't enjoy Chris Jericho wrestling much anymore. And for me, like the whole, like the lead up to it, like how people were like, oh yeah, they got Jericho. Like they were like acting like he was like some new talent. It's like, no, dude, he's old.
He's like 50.
He is, how old is he now? 48 years old. Yeah. Like, bro, go sit your old ass down and relax. Like, give that spot to a younger talent. You don't need, like, that's one of the things that they need to learn from WWE. Stop putting these old ass men in the top spots. There's no reason for it. I get it. People like Jericho. He's got the crews and like Marks love him and shit. Just go home. Go home. So in the 6-women tag, Hikaru Shida, I have been a long time fan of her. She was a standout. Just the fact that you got to see like smaller talent, like Yuka Sakazaki, the girl with like the baggy pants. She is insanely fast and flies. Like when she goes to the top rope and does a springboard, she gets air and just kind of hangs for a while. It is ridiculous. Of course, Orange Cassidy was awesome because like
it's Orange Cassidy.
It's Orange Cassidy. Like that's a gimmick that people aren't gonna get tired of. Like but the thing is he can really go. That's the thing. Like he is probably one of the most talented people on the roster, if not the most talented. But just the gimmick that he's got is just so great. Sunny Kiss, of course, because Sunny Kiss.
The first time seeing live. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I dug that they had so many like nostalgic acts coming in and stuff like Glacier. Like the callbacks are fun, right? But like when you have the same, that's one of the things that I've had an issue with like the WWE for so long. Like I can only see Kevin Nash come back for a Battle Royal so many times. I was like, bro, all right, stop. You can't afford to like destroy another quad again, bro. That's
like, how many knee replacements are you gonna keep doing, bro? Like,
right. Just stay on Twitter being woke and just relax. But yeah, so like the Cody versus Dustin I was kind of afraid going into it because I didn't want it to be like too on the nose. And like you said, they alluded to, okay, well, this should have happened before. Like they didn't go full, which that was one of my issues with Cody for a long time, was that he was so protective of like the use of his father's name. It's like, I get it. He's your father, but at the same time, he's a lot of our wrestling father as well. So you can't just have all of that to yourself. So when they announced that this was going to be a match, I was like, I hope he doesn't do his usual thing about it, but I was like, I was impressed, and the match was great. And Jesus Christ, did he bleed everywhere?
Yeah.
Like that was one of those things where I was like, had this been in the WWE, they would have ended it right there. Like, because that's oh my goodness. Like we were watching it and I was like, well, it sucks for whomever is in the match after this, because my God, that whew. I wonder.
So what they did is right after that is when they came out with the red carpet to cover it up.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think was the tag match. So right after they left with the belt is when they came in and changed out the canvas.
Right.
And I mean, like they were still like tying it on while the Lucha Brothers entrance was happening. Wow. So well done to that production team, because they were like game face. And for your first show, I mean, the timing was pretty impeccable.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, from just a non-critique perspective, I saw the Lucha Brothers match on YouTube. And you both know this about me, I'm not one for spot fests.
Yeah.
But I felt that it was so electric that it had to be that way. Because they knew going into it with all the press conferences, this was one of those blood tag team feuds that they built up to, you know, where one team gets attacked by the other team and then they start invading other promotions and it's like, I'll get you back. And it's one-upsmanship. And it, from what I saw, it fit a real blood feud that, as you were saying, the main event could not do. We've seen Jericho Omega before. I wasn't impressed the first time I saw it on New Japan. I'm not impressed now. I agree with Dio. Jericho, sit down. Stop. Go be an old rock star. Do your cruise.
Yeah.
Be creative.
Like that would be perfect. That's the thing. He would be perfect for creative. Like
stay there.
Yeah.
But I get it. It's like, oh, this multi-time champion in WWE going up against this multi-time champion from New Japan. And that's how you get people in the first time. Who are these people? I've never seen them before. Oh, look, there's Chris Jericho. Damn, he's still wrestling? Let me check this out. Shows he still doesn't have it anymore. I'm sorry. He just doesn't have it. Like when the fact that your new finisher is lamer than John Cena's lightning punch.
Yeah, that was because coming into it and like because I was like, okay, maybe it'll be cool. Because like when he introduced like the code breaker a while back, it looked cool. That was dope. But that was like 15 years ago, right? So now, like with this elbow thing that he was doing, and like he's doing the videos, releasing videos for it, and I was like, I know his old ass ain't gonna be able to pull this shit off properly in a goddamn match. And like, I defended him a little bit because like folks were saying like an elbow is not that's not a way that you can end a fight. And I was like, well, actually, let me show you all of these devastating knockouts that people have had caused with elbows. But it's just, it's one of those things where it just didn't. It's not impactful. It's, you know, he has to have somebody that can carry him at this point.
Yes.
Like that, he has to have a strong base. So like if he was going up, since like Kenny wasn't 100%, that added to this kind of being a little bit discombobulated. But like had he had somebody that was like 100%, it's like a ring general, all that good stuff, where he wouldn't have to do all the lifting, I guess you'd say, it would have been a little bit better. But yeah, nice. Just chill out.
And from what I was told, the commentary team was a little hit or miss from any people who have watched the pay-per-view. Not JR, not Excalibur. The third person in the booth apparently rubbed a lot of people on social media the wrong way, saying he sounded like nails on a chalkboard most of the time.
Yeah. Alex Marvez, I think it was.
Yes, Alex Marvez. That's right.
Yeah, it was it. Like this was. There were so many. I understand that they want to go with like people that people know, but they should have reached out side of the wrestling world to get commentary, not just commentary, but also ring announcers. Justin Roberts did it was okay. That was fine. But like there are announcers in like MMA boxing that are like so underutilized in those that you could just bring, just like how when they brought Morrow over to WWE, like Morrow is the GOAT when it comes to calling action, whether it be boxing, MMA, or pro wrestling. He used to be a little bit kitschy back in the earlier days of mixed martial arts, but like he's perfected it at this point. But like, there's one guy that would have been perfect. The WEC ring announcer, Joe A. Martinez. He is awesome. I will try and find some videos and I'll put that stuff out there. But yeah, like, don't just stick to the people that only know pro wrestling stuff. They need to start venturing out to get people outside of the industry as well to bring something new to the table. Because I don't want to have like just rehashed, people having just a bunch of people that got fired from WWE or TNA or whomsoever. Because that was the other thing too. Seeing who like they were bringing on for like creative, I was like, oh no, this could go very bad very quickly. So I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens.
Well, and that brings up a good question too about hope. And for those just tuning in, you're listening to the High Mark podcast, Damian and Dio with special guest Melissa Foss. Where did they go from here? How is the momentum sustained once this TV deal kicks in September? And temper your expectations, people. Like, the Monday Night Wars aren't back.
There is a war. The war has started. And it's only going to escalate. But as it is right now, we have not gotten back into the Monday Night Wars yet. No.
Because first off, they're on Tuesday nights. Okay. Right. So Raw's still on Monday. SmackDown's moving to Friday. AEW has their own day. Smartly, AEW has their own day. So for those who are just, and Mel's had to interact with some of these people on social media. Yeah, AEW is going to take down WWE, and that's why Moxley's going to push him over the top. Stop it. So how, as a business, because we all in our fields of career have been in business at some point.
Right.
Sustainability. What are maybe 2 or 3 things that they can do in order to continue the ascent and not so much challenge the WWE, but continue to make this a viable place for other talent to come to if they feel underutilized where they currently are stationed? And either one of you two can chime in.
You can go first.
Oh, great. Thanks. I feel like it's really cliche to be like, keep listening to your fans, because like the feedback from this show will give you both the best parts and what to keep going for, and the worst parts and what to not do anymore,
right?
Or what doesn't click with the audience. So I think that's kind of first and foremost. I think the other thing is that they need to maybe be really careful and really calculated on how they kind of start advertising. If there are new talents coming in, being really calculated and it not being an onslaught of names and information like it was this last time.
Right.
But I think kind of slowing it down now, Chicago in August is the next one. So like time out for a second, like let this kind of like be what it is for a second before jumping right into the next one. Like give the fans something to anticipate and something to look forward to when we're kind of over the excitement of this last weekend, if that makes sense. Because the whole weekend was chaotic, and even fans that came back Sunday, I came back Sunday, I still feel like I'm like hungover and I didn't even drink at all this weekend. But I'm like, oh my God, it was so much. So I think, just being really calculated and really aware of the timeline in preparing for the next one.
Yeah. in order to keep the hype up, they need to keep content out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing. They are pretty masterful at it. Actually, you know what? To piggyback off of one thing that you said about listening to the audience, listen to your entire audience, not just the loud dickheads that wear Bullet Club t-shirts. Like, you need to make sure that you are like, when there's an issue, especially if you have a segment of your fan base that is, you know, whether it be the queer portion, the people of color, women, whomsoever, right? If we say that there's an issue, you need to listen to it. Because if you have this chorus of, to be honest, straight white males that are just like, oh, don't listen to them, it's not a big deal. No, it is. Like, if you only listen to them, you are going to scare off a lot of people. And like, honestly, that's why I stopped being a Bullet Club fan, was because the fan base just got to be so vile. And like, even seeing the storylines that they had in New Japan of, hey, it's all the white guys versus the brown guys. It's like, yo, y'all, that's you can pull that off in Japan. You can't do that here. Right? You have to make sure that you actually listen to everyone, right? You have to find a middle ground for most things, but you are going to have to treat everybody equally in these situations. But yeah, because you still have a good amount of time until then. They need to have content out there in some form. So whether they release it on, you know, episodically, like almost like a Lucha Underground-esque type thing that they're doing just on their YouTube channel, keep content out there, keep building these storylines up. Because the thing is, everybody's not going to be able to see all of these wrestling shows that you're going to have here and there where you're building the storyline. I'm like, well, that's a good idea. You should still have somewhere where we can go and watch all of that together. It's kind of like with comic books, when you have a massive event and you have to go and read 72 different issues, all in different books. You have to go read a Deadpool book, then you have to go read an Avengers book, then a Wolverine book, X-23 book, you know, all these things that are spread out. People are going to get lost in that type of stuff, and everybody's not going to see it. So when you get to, you don't want to end up like Impact is now, where if you don't catch it live, you don't get to see it until a week after the event happens. Like, you don't want to have that happen where people are tracking down the stuff after the fact. They need to make sure that the content is available. And I'm pretty sure if they did some sort of like subscription service or whatever, people would pay it. And that's the other thing too, is the $60 per event thing ain't gonna work. That is not gonna work in the long run. People have been, for the past 4 years that the network's been out for, you know, you're paying $118.99 a year. That's 2 pay-per-views. Right. That's 2 of those. So if they plan on having 3 to 4 pay-per-views a year at $60 a pop, that's gonna scare a lot of people off, because people have not been having to pay for pay-per-view events for a long time. Because I remember there were folks that were like, oh, well, there was one in particular that was like, oh, well, you guys didn't grow up in the era. I was like, yeah, I did.
You're stupid.
It was like, we couldn't afford it. Like, that is, especially in this day and age when cost of living is higher than it was prior to this, and everybody has subscription services, that's what they need to be leaning towards as quickly as they can. Once they have a solid product, they have the TV deal, everything's been going for a while, they need to switch over to a subscription service. Because even if they don't have as much content as the WWE network, because honestly, when I did have the network, I didn't watch everything on there. I watched NXT. I might catch a ride along or one of the table talk type things, and the events. That's all I was watching. I'm not going back to some random Monday Nitro from 1996. I'm not trying to watch Super Calo versus Sting. Like, I'm not trying to watch that shit. Like, honestly.
First off, has Super Cal ever wrestled Sting? I feel like that's something.
WCW. There were so many dumbass squash matches back then. Like, folks romanticize that era so much. That was easily, for both promotions, the 90s were easily some of the worst content in wrestling history. Like there was so much trash, and this was the thing. This is the thing that I hate. Folks love to be like, "Oh, Vince McMahon is such a genius. He's hit so many home runs." It's like he's hit a lot of home runs, but he has struck out more times than anything else. Like there was so many bad matches, especially like when Vince Russo came on with WWE, or WCW. But yeah, as long as they have some type of content, doesn't have to be a ton of it, just something weekly or a good amount of stuff on there, people will be happy.
I think for me, and you both know this, and anyone who's listened to me on these shows knows, I want them to highlight women's wrestling. And I like the fact that they incorporated Joshi wrestling, because you and I have talked about this, D, a few times.
Yeah.
That not that they would be in competition with, let's say, Stardom or anything like that, but just getting eyes on the product of different wrestlers who I think WCW did this really well with the cruiserweights. You didn't know who the heck, for the most part, Rey Mysterio was if you just tuned in to WCW Saturday Night before the expansion. You didn't know who Dean Malenka was unless you watched ECW,
Yeah.
Or like you said, Super Calo, Ciclo Pay. Who's the other one?
Damian 666.
Yeah, all these that people may deem as flotsam and jetsam, but in reality, these were premier stars in their respective countries.
Right.
I remember WCW did this early with the World Cup, where they would have that working relationship with was it New Japan, I believe, or was it another one where they had Liger, they had Chono, they had a few other people.
Yeah, they had a ton. I forgot about that.
You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah.
And I think you have untapped money in a women's Joshi wrestlers versus AEW American stars or main promotion stars, where you can incorporate a whole bunch of unique matchups and not have to rely on the Bucks, Omega, all the freaking time. I think what's going to really set the tone after the first couple of months and shows, less reliance on the Bucks to be the draw and Omega to be the draw, and spreading of the wealth to the other talent. I think that is where WWE has gone wrong over the last few years, where it's just been Roman and Brock, Roman and Brock. Oh, Braun. No, Roman and Brock. So I don't want AEW or any promotion for that matter kind of falling in that same booking pattern where it's the same 3 to 4 people. Honestly, I've told you this. The stage is set for Adam Page to be crowned the first AEW champion.
Right.
I don't think there's anyone else you give the belt to in this situation.
If it ends up on a Jericho or an Omega, you are shooting it. Like that's one of the things that people didn't want to happen, because when the signings first started, it's like, oh great, it's the Young Buck, or it's like the Bullet Club remnants, and then you have Cody and friends. So like, what was it, SoCal
Uncensored?
Or which, yeah, and it was like, all right, like I get, you want to make sure that your people are on there, but this can go south very quickly, because you've seen with the WWE how people react to the quote unquote chosen ones getting shots all the time, and if you do the same thing, then it's like, damn, y'all look just like them. So yeah, they definitely want to differentiate themselves from that. What was the other thing?
As a quick aside, I'm in the chat and Eugene said, Super Calo's a legend. He made Kangos cool again.
Fuck out of here. It's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me, dog.
Now I'm just picturing Super Calo was just a reject of the Public Enemy.
Oh my God. Like there were so many like gimmicks in Lucha Libre already is some fucking bruh. There's
well, you've been to Mucha Lucha shows. What's the most randomest thing you've seen?
The most random thing that can go,
random gimmick.
Random gimmick. That's the thing. They've had nothing but like the they have a lot of the big stars come through. So I haven't seen any like crazy random ass. Actually, well, I guess, but these weren't luchadors though. These were actually like American based talent, and it was like they had this whole weird like
Chikara.
Yeah, nah. I haven't. There wasn't anything like Chikara.
No Super Beetle versus Fire Ant.
No. This was like there was like a weird love triangle, and then one of the wrestlers was like an abusive boyfriend, but then the girlfriend, but then she turned on him in the match, and it was like that was probably the weirdest thing that I saw there. But like if you go and watch like AAA or like CMLL, like when you see like the dude that's like a cop. It comes out in like a cop uniform, and just like all the old ass dudes that are like, they got the wild beer keg gut,
we see those sometimes at Martinez.
Yeah,
Martinez Wrestling. Yeah.
They got like the super mullet, but they got the party in the back rat tail that goes all the way down.
The old Eddie Guerrero.
No, it's worse than that, bro. Like Eddie's was pretty neat. No, this is like a super
bonus feature of the rat tail coming down from the mullet.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of amazing, but it's also trash. Like it's.
So I was just gonna say when we were talking about content and stuff for, I think I don't want to say a lot of people. Some people may argue like, oh, well, being the Elite's on every week, at least once a week.
Right.
That is some content, but I think that it needs to be some more wrestling focused content to keep more wrestling fans coming in. Like people who who have only ever watched WWE aren't going to be like, oh, I wonder what this Being the Elite episode 133 is. It's not. But if it's like, whoever versus whoever, AEW, that I think would draw in more content. I think I really hope that they take advantage of the producers that they have brought on. I think Dean Malenko is someone who, like, adding some content of his on anywhere will be beneficial. Like, that man is a legend in the business. Same with Dustin Rhodes. Like, I just want to hear the two of them have a conversation about wrestling.
Yeah.
And I hope that they take advantage of the people outside of the in-ring talent for content for this, because I think it'll be really beneficial for everyone.
Yeah. And with that content thing too, like, so Being the Elite is for their fan base.
Yes.
So like, if you have somebody like me, I can't stand Being the Elite. I have not because it panders to that shitty fan base of theirs. Like that's going to turn a lot of, so if you have people that already don't like the Bullet Club and like Being the Elite and all that stuff they've had, like that's going to turn people off. So they need to, you can keep that going because you're still going to need that core fan base of people, but they're going to have to make new stuff for other people. If they have a women's centric one, perfect. If you have a lucha centric one, since you have all of these different avenues now, like you could have, if they make AEW like a legitimate worldwide brand, you could have those like content for each area that you're in. You can have a Joshi show. You can have, even if it's just like web show type stuff that's only like 15, 20 minutes, like that's going to keep people coming. Teach people like whatever the people's characters are and stuff like that. Like if you follow, like I follow Yuka Sakazaki on Twitter. She is weird, but awesome. Like the whole magical girl thing that she does, that's her in real life. And it's dope. Like when you have these unique, talents that you have out there, the Sunny Kisses, like you have all these people, you have to, in order to like bring a lot of these douchebag dudes over to being fans of these people, you're going to have to make content that's going to help them relate to these people. And if all you're doing is this brotastic bullshit that you've been doing on Being the Elite for the past couple of years, that's not going to do anything. You're just going to reinforce the toxic environment that you've created and really haven't put in check yet. And that's the other thing. That's one of the biggest things, because the lead up to this, like, so when we had when they had the press conference, and when Sonny Kiss got signed, and when they announced Nyla Rose, how like it was every slur that you could possibly think of was in the YouTube chat, was on Twitter, everywhere. And when it was brought up to Brandy and Cody, they're like, "Oh well, we don't see it." I'm like, "Well, we do." And when you have this many people telling you that this is an issue, gotta listen. And like now that they legitimately have the world's eyes on them now. I haven't seen the WWE. I haven't seen any politician tweet about the WWE that wasn't Donald Trump in like the past. The fact that you have AOC talking about it, like that's huge, especially amongst like millennials and Gen Zs. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
And like now that you have the world's eyes on you, and you have people that are now going to tune into you because you have a diverse product, like you're going to have to put those little man children in check very soon, because they could end up ruining the promotion. Like the promotion can get ruined by something that isn't even in the promotion. That's the part that they have to be careful about, because if they don't nip that in the bud, that could be what kills them in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think last night when I saw the AOC tweet, I was like, I think at that point, like 24,000 people had liked it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just like that, 24,000 people who would probably, majority of them are like, who is Cody Rhodes?
Right.
It's like, I think sometimes we forget that like wrestling is all over, but then it's like, it is kind of a niche thing. And like, we're not as, it's not, I don't know. It's in that moment, it was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people that had no idea about this until right now.
Right.
And it's something that's so known for us, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where they go with it. I think in kind of for the next show, they've already announced a few matches or mentioned them on the show. So I think it's Young Bucks versus Dustin and Cody is what he referenced in his promo. I would assume it's going to be Kenny and Moxley, and then Jericho and Hangman, I think is what's lined up currently. I'm really excited to see B Priestley, because I really like B Priestley. So I'm hoping that the next show they bring her on. And I would love to see, like you mentioned, her with the Joshis. Like, she has experience. She knows how they work. It's going to be a good match. Like, that would be a really great way, I think, to pull her into the storylines.
Right.
But I'm interested to see how they continue to build and create these matches. And like you said, with Nyla Rose and Sonny Kiss, and like, where do they go now? Right. Like, what stories are developing for them, and not because of their sexuality, but like because of their wrestling. What matches are going to be good for them to be in? To not exploit them, but to show off what they bring to the wrestling community. For the people that had no idea who they were, I had no idea who Nyla Rose was before she got signed. Right. So then it's like, well, then I want to do my research and see, what she's capable of doing. I think it would be cool to have her and Awesome Kong. I think that would be a good match for both of them.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see, like with Sonny Kiss, what story they create for him, moving forward. So
yeah. And like when it comes to like the talent too, so like it looked just off of who they had at the on this card. Let me pull it back up again. So in the Joshi match, because Yuka Sakazaki is in Tokyo Japan Pro Wrestling, or Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, sorry, TJPW. And like WWE seems to have, seems like they have a working relationship with Stardom.
Mm-hmm.
TJPW would be perfect for AEW to use all the time. Like they have really solid talents over there, like Reika Psyche, like a small muscular.
Yes.
And she is really good. Like she is, if you can find her matches against Meiko Satomura, they are amazing. Like they work really well off of each other. You also have Maki Ito and a bunch of other, like you have a few comedy wrestlers. There's a ton that they could bring over as well there. The other thing too, I want them, and this is more so something that they have to do with women more so than they do with men, because you get all types of sizes when it comes to men most of the time when it comes to pro wrestling. Of course, it could be more equally balanced, but when it comes to women, you have two things in American wrestling that they are going, in order to differentiate themselves from the WWE, that they're going to have to go away from. One, Western standards of facial beauty, and then also body types. So there's a lot of people who we likely will never see in WWE just because they do not meet Western standards of beauty. Like Miyu Iwatani. If you watched Lucha Underground, where they had like the Black Lotus Triad thing, and you had the three matches, the skinnier of the three people, because you had Io Shirai and you also had Kairi Sane, but like she's super skinny. She's in the face. She is not what would be considered, I guess you'd say, pretty by Western standards, but she is legitimately one of the best wrestlers in the world. People like her are going to, like, if AEW wants to stand out, make sure that you pick people on talent, make sure that you have a diverse roster, and not just diverse in skin color, sexuality. Like, you have to make sure that you encompass everything. Have someone for everyone to relate to, because as we saw this year with WWE, the first time, like for me, first time I got to see someone that looked like me with my background holding the biggest title that you have, and this company's been around for how long? AEW needs to learn from that and make sure that they don't fall into that same trap. Okay, and since we were talking about AOC, so right now it's 1.3 thousand replies, 8.8 thousand retweets, and 41,000 likes.
That's wild.
Right. But what Cody said was really good. It was really poignant. Like the fact that he said, I don't see color, and Brandy was like, well, you don't see my experience. Like, make sure that you continue with dialogue like that, because when it comes to their fan base, they're gonna have to fix that type of stuff. So yeah, those are the things that I think they definitely need to work
on. I think they're gonna have to walk a thin line with that, because they know that the bro fan base buys a lot of their merchandise. So at what point do you sacrifice merchandise dollars for, as you're saying, Dio, to get it, to be the promotion that gets it? Now, I know when AEW first came out and everybody was making a whole big stink about pay rates, pay equality. Does that mean like the worst wrestler on the card is going to make as much as the worst women's wrestler is going to make as much as the best male wrestler? That's kind of what people were going off on. Or is the worst male wrestler going to make as much as, let's say, the best women's wrestler? And you would see the replies, you would read the tweets, and it's like, oh my God, what year is your brain stuck in?
Right.
I'm invested in Twitter, I don't think.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Neither do we. Yeah. But it's the conversation points that spawn from that.
Right.
And then you realize how narrow-minded the vast majority of wrestling fans can tend to be when their fave isn't being pushed, or the storylines aren't being. I'm waiting for the moment when AEW does not book, let's just say, Moxley.
Right.
How they feel, because armchair booking is the best booking, of course.
Yeah.
No, he should be the first champ. Why? He doesn't even need a belt. He's Jon Moxley.
Right, exactly. Like he's
an attraction without a title.
Yeah, he is a chaotic neutral. It does not matter. Everybody can get it. Like you don't need to put some like a character like his. You don't need to do that. But what I was going to say real quick about, since their core fan base buys a lot of merch, this is an issue that the WWE created because they did not market to women at all when it comes to merch. You go on WWE's site, and when it comes to all wrestlers, it was nothing but men's sizes that you had for the longest time. Of the two sexes, who buys more than anyone else? Women. They have the highest buying power of anybody. And the WWE, for some reason or other, would only give them bullshit and only give them women's cuts, only give them like certain designs. Like AEW needs to fuck the bro fans, because you have an untapped market of people that have more. So when you look at not only women, but then when you look at minority communities, look at by race, Black people spend more on things than any other race combined. If like you can completely shit on the bro fans, they're still going to stay around, because where else are they going to go? They're not going back to the WWE. Like what? They're not going to go. They're not going to take their ball and go somewhere else. They're still going to watch. So with them, it doesn't really matter. But you have these untapped markets, and not only do they have to make the merch for it, they are going to need to go to the different media platforms as well. You know, you are going to have to interact with Black Twitter, because that's one of the places where all of the memes and
side note,
trendsetters.
It can't just be Brandy.
It can't just be Brandy, because honestly, I'll be 100% real with you, she's not going to go over well with them. So like, you are going to have honest, open dialogue. Like, they're going to have to go on the Breakfast Clubs and Power 9 or Hot 97s and on the different podcast circuits and all that type of stuff. Like, they're going to actually really have to do like community reach out to make sure that they get these new fan bases, actively go out there to do this, because this is one of the things that it's not just the WWE that is kind of just, it wasn't until the New Day that they started like, okay, let's pay attention to what is going on over here. And even that was all the New Day going out and doing that themselves, making this buzz. But so with the UFC had this issue as well. And it wasn't until there was a main event with two Black men that they decided, you know what, now we actually need to start putting billboards out in minority communities. We need to have them going out on going to like the larger radio stations and such. It wasn't until you had that moment, and the UFC had been around for like 20 years at that point, and it was just then that they started like, you know what, maybe we should tap into these other markets. AEW needs to make sure that they get out there from the get-go, and they cannot have canned answers. They're going to have to take critique, not lash back out at it just off the rip. No, you're gonna have to take those critiques. You're going to have rough interviews. Like, they are going to have to handle that professionally and make sure that they don't like cut off an entire portion of a fan base and income revenue that they could have.
See, as you're saying this, I guess I'm the doom and gloom guy here, but I don't think wrestling fans are that willing to accept change unless it's on their terms.
White male wrestling.
Thank you.
You gotta, because that's the thing. You have to differentiate, because when it comes to the people that want to be like, it needs to go back to how it was in the Attitude Era, it's one demographic. It's almost
I'm not saying it. You're not saying it.
It's always one demographic. So, and that's the thing. If you stack up everybody together, they will be the minority. And the loud jackasses are always the minority when it comes to most audiences. But they will follow. They will absolutely follow no matter what happens. Like, you're going to have a handful of them, like a small portion of them, that will be like, I don't like this because there's queers on. Let them go. You
don't need your dollar. Go ahead.
Because if you have other people that see, oh, they're actually inclusive. Oh, there's actually people that I like, like say in the next couple of years, this absolutely could happen. Say a Naomi leaves and goes over there. You understand how much star power she has of untapped potential. If you really let her go out there and like glow, pun intended. But like there's so much untapped potential. If Sasha Banks ends up leaving the WWE and she goes over to AEW and they actually have her go out, like that can be out. Stuff like that, and actually making sure she's out there on all the big shows and doing outreach, man. That's when they will become like a legit threat to the WWE. But they'll never kill off the WWE. Vince McMahon has essentially made it to where that fan base is never going to leave ever. So
that's okay.
And that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah.
Just for the record, like you can like both or you can like one or the other. Yep. And that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
You can make your decision and stick to it, and that doesn't make anyone else's decision wrong.
Yep.
You just have a different opinion. That's fine.
Yeah. Like I play Street Fighter, I play King of Fighters, I play Tekken, I play Virtual Fighter. Mm-hmm. I have all the brands of stuff. I can like all of these things. I like all types of different anime. I like all types of different TV shows. I don't care. I watch NBC. I watch CBS. I watch Fox. I watch ABC. Yeah. Freeform.
Variety is the spice.
Variety is the spice of life. And the better AEW is, the better WWE is going to have to become to compete. And like I keep on saying this. If y'all think contracts are bad in the WWE now, my God, just wait until it gets serious. There are going to be just disgusting contracts on both sides. Get ready for that shit.
Oh yeah, no, and that's going to be a little underlying war in and of itself is the contract war.
Yeah,
who's got the worst and best contracts? Because even now, who was it? Harper got 6 more months added to his contract. Didn't Dash Wilder get 6 months added to his as well?
Both of them did, yeah.
Yeah, got a few months added on.
You don't think any wrestling promotion?
Is it Gallows and Anderson? Did they get?
No, they said they're not. Okay. They just said they're not resigning.
They're not going to resign, yeah.
Yeah. So I can just see, though, and that's another thing. When the contract numbers get out for AEW,
yeah,
people are going to say that, like any sport, that's a bad deal. Why'd they sign that deal?
Right.
Did they not read the contract like we do WWE?
Right.
And are they independent contractors?
Right.
Full-time staff. See, these are the little granular, minute things that the typical wrestling fan won't give 2 shits about. But people like me, us three,
right?
Fair practices and all that.
Yeah.
We enjoy wondering about those things because that leads to fair labor practices and whether or not you stick around and a promotion is running humanely, I guess might be a little stretch of a word, but I'll use that for that. So, for instance, let's say Sean Spears. Let's just take Sean Spears.
Mm-hmm.
NXT, Ty Dillinger was awesome. All right, I think he was awesome. On AEW, Sean Spears for me is just a guy.
Right.
And for everyone that wants Zack Ryder or Dolph Ziggler, first of all, I don't know why y'all want them two over there, but
right, it's trash.
To each their own. But to me, like think about it this way. Let's flip it a little bit. What if the New Day decides one day, you know what? Kenny and Woods are cool. Big E's a superstar world champion waiting to happen. Kofi's already held the strap. Think about the matches they could have with the Bucks or the Lucha Bros. Right. Or even if, like, I know the Usos re-signed, but the Revival eventually makes their way over, or even Gallows and Anderson. AEW has a chance to be tag team revolution wrestling.
Right.
And I'm just thinking, please don't F this up. Because we know Vince don't care. They can capitalize in their own niche if they focus on the things that Vince doesn't care about.
Yep. And also, Look, the game changer is if they offer health insurance.
Ding, ding, ding.
If they cover that, ball game. Because that is going to be where everybody's going to want to go sign. Because like if they offer stuff like that, paying for travel, all that stuff, that's it. Like especially if they have a smaller roster too, like that'll be a game changer right there. Like if they do that and they actually make these people employees as opposed to being independent contractors, that will make it kind of muddy when it comes to like doing stuff outside of the promotion. But like if you have people that are on the main roster and you make them full-time employees, I completely understand them only being able to rest for AEW. I get it, and that makes sense. But if you're providing stuff like health insurance and travel expenses, you know, all that stuff, that is a massive incentive.
Yeah, and the travel expenses honestly wouldn't be anywhere near as high as WWE if it's just a weekly show that they're doing as opposed to 4 dates right in a row, or 5-6 days a week plus pay-per-views plus blah blah blah. Like that's a lot less travel expense, so it's possible.
Yeah.
It's an option, you know.
So I think all in all, that is what we can hope for after building off this spectacle that was Double or Nothing. In the chat, friend of yours, Boone, chimed in and he wanted our opinion on them doing the battle royal every pay-per-view, like something to that effect, where there's one gimmick match per pay-per-view. Just here's the worry I have with that. It goes back to like when you have like 4,000 scramble matches or on these independent cards, you're bringing in 12 people, 20 people to do one match.
Right.
And you're diluting your roster. Like you said, Dio, if you keep the roster small enough where everybody matters on the card in some way, shape, or form, that breeds interest because they'd be something for anybody. But if we're over here bringing in Glacier every episode and the Invisible Man and the Invisible Stan and the Invisible Dan, to be the new trios champions.
Right.
And then the Bucks have to sell a destroyer by the Invisible, Stan. It's gonna lose its luster really quickly. And we all know not WWE, but wrestling in general is a carny act to start with.
Right.
But do you want to be a business or do you want to be carny? Do you want to do what's always been done or do you want to revolutionize?
Yeah, I think it's a really, really, really fine line between giving multiple guys an opportunity and just putting people in a match for the sake of having a match.
Right.
And like, I think maybe every other would maybe be better than every single one.
Yeah.
Just because then there's a couple months for like them to kind of find the new talent out there, so it isn't just a constant recycling of the talent. But it's also kind of sifting through, okay, who works well in scramble matches, who doesn't, who can shine in a scramble match, and just who falls flat. How can we refine these things? And it's such a balance and it's such a fine line to walk. But I think that if they do maybe every other, then it gives time all around for everyone to get their stuff together.
What I would suggest would be, so I'm taking this partially is from the UFC or Bellator mixed martial arts, or UFC, Bellator, both mixed martial arts promotions, and battle rap. So in battle rap, there is the main one in the United States, which is URL, but they have the lower end, which is the Proving Grounds. So that's where you have the up and coming battle rappers that will go. So at the beginning of the cards, you could have like a tournament of newcomers and have that over several events. And then you can have the big battle royal. Like you can still have a gimmick of some sorts, but just make sure that it's a gimmick that has a reward and a worthwhile reward in the long run. So if you had there's like some new up and coming guys that, there's a lot of buzz around on the internet, bring them in for a match, and if just leave it to the fan base if you wanted to. Hey, what you think about this? You know, do you want to see them back? Then you come back. Like that's how you could feed the roster, because you don't need to have an NXT for something like that. The indies are the NXT for a promotion like this. So, you know, you could just have that where you would have either you could make like long-term tournament, or you could just have it to whereas you have the, you know, the lower end where you have these people that are new to the promotion that come on, see if how the audience reacts to them, and then you can bring them back if you want to. Or you can have it to whereas if they win said match, then they are then entered into the battle royal further down the line. So like stuff like that, like, but battle royal every single pay-per-view,
much. I think it's too much.
Yeah, it'll get very stale very quickly.
So before we go, I know we're pushing up against it. Two things I want to bring up. Number one, the $60 price point, like Dio was saying, that cannot continue. I'm sorry. We no longer live in a realm where we have now Netflix, the network, Disney Plus, different, you know, it happened with boxing.
Yeah.
Boxing used to charge $80, $100 for pay-per-views. Yeah. And now that boxing is kind of on a steep decline, no one's paying $80 for a pay-per-view. No matter, it could have been Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. Yeah. I wasn't paying $90 for that.
Yeah, so like if you're watching, so right now in boxing, D.O.N is like the big promotion right now, and that's $20 a month. Mm-hmm. It was prior, it was $10 a month. Like, and if you got into it earlier, you could get it for $100 for the full year, right? But even at $20 a month, that's still a steal for what you're getting, all the content that you get for it. So like, if they were able, especially like if they're able to get like into something, because they had the zone is all types of combat sports. If they were able to get some sort of deal with them as well, I guarantee, like, I would have no problem jumping on board for that, because I'm gonna watch the, like, you know, the mixed martial arts that's on there, also the, you know, kickboxing, all the other stuff, the boxing matches and stuff like that as well, because the days of spending, like you said, upwards of $50 for pay-per-views is gone. Like once this on-demand subscription service started, it was like, nah, there's no going back to how it used to be, because it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
And the second thing I want to bring up, and this is a little off topic, we just got done watching the NXT Performance Center Combine. Is that something other promotions can get away with down the road?
Unless, like, the only reason that WWE can get away with it is because they actually have a facility. Nobody else has a facility like that. Like, it's no one's gonna care about a combine with the Bucks and things like that, because that's not their branding. You know, that's not really what that is. Like, especially because you have a lot of athletes, but you don't have a lot of the, like, people that are coming directly from sports.
Other sports, right?
Like, that's why the combine is so impressive, because you have legitimate athletes. Like when they were doing it a few years ago, and they only just put like short little clips out with Bianca Belair, how she just tore through everybody else on the combine. Or she now
tore through this one, she won it again.
Yeah, like that is a once in a lifetime type of athlete there. So, but yeah, no, they couldn't get away with that. They could come up with something similar. Like if you wanted to have like an obstacle course type thing, that would work perfectly for something like AEW. But if you try to ape what WWE is doing, that's a bad route to go in anything that they do. Trying to pull off the same stuff that WWE does is just not gonna end well for them. So.
And I just want to throw some humor into this, because we've talked about him before. So the men's division was won by Riddick Moss.
Yeah.
So I immediately thought of you, Dio, because we talked about his whole, like, it's almost like the Simon Dean system now. That was his gimmick.
Yeah, no, I don't want.
You know, and it's like, oh man, Riddick Moss, now he's gonna use this as part of the gimmick now. But Mel brought up a good point. Watching the deadlift
event.
First off, shout out to ACH. for being able to trap bar deadlift almost 700 pounds, being like, I'm taller than ACH because I saw him briefly this weekend in Austin. I'm taller than him.
Right.
And my man is like 600 pounds. Sure, why not? Bang.
Yeah.
You know,
amazing athlete.
Who was the one? It was Omar.
I don't remember his last name.
But my man, he didn't just break Dozovic's deadlift record. He destroyed it at 800 pounds.
Right.
It made it look easy. And this is one of those things where I thought, without a weightlifting belt, which was even more impressive.
Right.
And shout out to Stokely Hathaway, now known as, Courtmore, for participating.
Yeah. Is it something Bivens that he was? Is the next
Michael
thing
Bivens now? He's going to report Boys to Men now.
It's something Bivens. Malcolm Bivens.
Malcolm
Bivens, which I actually kind of like.
Well, it's a play on Malcolm Jamal Warner and Michael Bivens. So at least that's what I believe it to be.
Or Malcolm X.
Or Malcolm X, yes. But just seeing him push the sled, and Matt Bloom says on commentary, he's here as a manager. He just wanted to compete, but Robbie E.
Robert Strauss.
Yeah, Robert Strauss in NXT, but he's Robbie E on the Independents and formerly of TNA.
So, a couple refs were on there. I mean, well done. Amazing.
It was fun to watch and deal with like this because Xia Li was like the biggest cheerleader during the men's events.
Yeah. She is, when it comes to like the fitness stuff, she seems to be like I guess you say like the team mom almost when it comes to a lot of folks on there. Cause like between her workouts, especially like when she does like kickboxing cardio stuff. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she terrifies a lot of people there.
I don't know if you caught it, but like on one of the rowing events, the guy jumped on and she's like, just like, come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
Well, then let me do what I have to do. And she's like, okay. And like back and lets him do it.
It's like, come on, Mom. I got this. All right, back up. Fine. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah. But yeah, no, definitely I don't want AEW to try to do the same exact stuff. Like they need to find their own lane, do partnerships with other people. Hell, have them, if they could work something out with like Ninja Warrior and have some of their roster go on there. Like that's stuff like that is what they would need to do. But trying to do the exact same thing the WWE does, you want to stay away from any and all comparisons. Anything that is going to be comparable to the WWE, they need to stay away from that until they get enough footing to whereas they are on equal ground or close to equal ground. That's when they can start doing similar stuff.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, no. Like that's going to turn off a lot of WWE fans that come over to it is like, they're just copying. That's going to turn a lot of people off. So they definitely need to find their own lane.
Any last words, Mel?
No. The only thing that I would say, and maybe this is like a devil's advocate thing, but just kind of thinking about like the price point and, this, was it $60, I think?
$60,
for the pay-per-view. I think one thing is like when I was in high school, like there would be like 7 or 8 of us that would like watch it together and like everyone pitch in like $10 or something. And like, I don't know, it was like kind of a really great memory. And so I'm like, obviously we're not in the same age as then and technology has progressed. But like, I wonder if maybe some of that is what's driving that reasoning too, is that piece of the Attitude Era kind of coming back into it, in that it's more of a community watch. It's more like get your friends together, watch, whoever, and doing it like that. Like in that case, I'm like, oh, it's kind of beautiful.
I think they actually had a way that you could watch it online as well. Well, but and it was a little bit cheaper, right? But that was the other thing too. So you have to be part of Bleacher Report or BR Live first. So that's already one paywall right there, and then you have to pay $54. after you've paid what you paid to BR Plus.
Got it.
And that's like already, it's like, all right, it had they not had any type of streaming functionality at all, or just had directly from their site, everything's $60 either way. But going through Bleacher Report and like that's what's killing the UFC right now. Actually, the UFC on average was getting like 300K buys and up on most events. The last event that they had barely did 100K, and it was two of their bigger stars. And that's because people had to not only have to pay for ESPN Plus, but then they also have to go and pay for the UFC events on top of that as well. And like 100K is one of the worst numbers that they've had in the history. So like 2 paywalls, already it's bad. Plus there were a bunch of technical issues. That's all I saw the entire night on the timeline, was how there was a bunch of technical issues when it came to the Bleacher Report live stuff. So yeah, they're like, if they want to do that, they're going to have to make sure that they get with a streaming company that works,
right,
and has everything ironed out.
right.
Like they've got the money, they have the money to make sure they are partnered with a good company to do that. But yeah, like what the BR stuff wasn't a good idea at all.
So before we go, Mel, where can people find you? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to like put over?
Oh, yeah, let me just build myself over for a second. No, I'm on Twitter at Melissa Foss 7. I don't know what else to plug. I just found out I will be at Sabotage on July 13th, and I will be in Des Moines in July 26th for their Revolver show.
What will you be doing on the Sabotage show?
I will be doing commentary on the Sabotage show.
Awesome.
I know. It's so weird and fun.
Dio, anything you want to plug?
Nope.
Don't find me.
I mean,
no, I am a man that I don't want to be found.
Yeah, I'm just DEO on Twitter, Instagram. Probably in the next few months, I'll be putting a lot of photography stuff up on there soon. But yeah, no, I'm watching a bunch of anime and stuff right now. So that's what I'm. Shout out to Great British Bake Off.
Yes.
Best, amazing show on Netflix.
I always feel the old ladies always look like they have resting bitch face, and they're judging you long before they even taste the food.
Oh no, the one, Mary, absolutely, yeah. No, two ways about it. She is judging you before she's met you. So yeah, that's
Mary Berry, is that her name?
Yes, Mary Berry.
Wonderful name, yeah.
An amazing, and she is very British, very British. But I like Prue better. Prue's the best.
So is this going to be a new wrinkle to the show? Every week we're going to talk about British Bake Off?
Listen, bruh, like I keep telling you, man, if we end up down these rabbit holes, you are going to find out a lot of stuff about me. So.
Things Damian doesn't know, apparently.
Yeah.
Before, yeah, I know people have asked me, like, what's something else I don't know I want to learn more about? So
I'll try to remember. If we have any conversations in the next week or so, I'll try to remember if anything comes up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just learned recently you really can't stack Uno cards. That's against the rules.
Fuck that. Don't listen. Do not listen to the company.
Yes, don't listen to the creator of Uno.
Don't listen to, just because they made the game doesn't mean that they understand how it's played, sir. Okay? Fuck out of here. Like that is, yeah, no, like it's regional. Every region has its own.
Where like the energy just like peaks out in the conversation is on Uno stacking cards.
Yeah. Like, because they were on there and we were instantly like, no. So wait a minute. I understand that y'all made this. That's cool, but you don't know how to play the game. So stop talking. So,
you have not played this game in 20 years. You need to stop.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a thing that happened. That was great.
So I guess I'll plug my own stuff then, because why not? You can find me on Damon G347 on both Twitter and Instagram, and you can check actually my coaching rates at Mr.DamianGracia at Wix.com or Wix.com, and you can see my text rates, my coaching rates for video conferencing, as well as for phone conferencing. So, and for those who don't know, 11 plus years as a mental health professional, kind of now segueing, and I've gotten a few clients, and I've actually got one to rip me off already. So, does that make me an entrepreneur now? I ask.
Yes.
Rule number 1: always get your money up front. Rule number 2: if you got money in PayPal, put that back in your bank account ASAP. Don't let it sit in your PayPal account.
No, not pay. Never do PayPal, bruh.
I got Cash App now.
Cash App, man, you really are old. Shit.
I'm 40, man. I'm pushing 40. Come on. See, look, things Damian doesn't know. Don't use PayPal, use Cash App.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's Coach Damian G on the Cash App. So yeah. So next time, hopefully we'll have Mel back on. I kind of foresee that happening again. It's pretty easy to find her. Like I said, she's doing commentary. She helps at all types of wrestling shows, and she's one of those wrestling fans that I don't really find annoying. So that's always a plus.
Yeah, that's definitely a plus.
And she likes to bake, so she's also an amateur baker. So if you check out Baking with Mel on Instagram, there's a few photos up of her rather delicious desserts that my belt has not been very happy with me for, because the belly's getting big. So thanks a lot, Mel. Appreciate that. So we'll see y'all next week, Kat. We love you. We miss you. We hope you're enjoying your time away. Big old heart for the cat, for the big cat. 2 snaps up.
No, not 2 snaps, guy. That's hearts. That's how they do it in Korea. It's hearts.
It looks like you were doing the Money Mayweather sign right there.
No, do I? No.
Or tiny hands. Yeah. But you've been listening, y'all, to the High Mark Podcast, episode 3. Find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, what else? Stitcher. I know we're on that now. Spreaker, and A Partridge in a Pear Tree, as well as Apple Podcasts is another one.
Yeah.
Damn, we're pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere that you have podcasts, we're there.
Yeah. So give it a listen, let us know, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Let you know.
Or we'll just let you know. See you next time, folks.
Peace.